Ever wonder how today's biggest tech companies went from just an idea in a garage to, well, dominating the world? It wasn't just about luck, and for most of them, it definitely wasn't about having a massive marketing budget from day one. Nope, they used a totally different playbook, a mindset that we've come to know as growth hacking. Let's get into it.
So, picture this. You've spent months, maybe even years, pouring your heart and soul into building an amazing product. The code is beautiful, the design is slick, you finally hit that launch button, you're expecting this huge flood of users, and all you hear is crickets. It's a brutal reality for so many entrepreneurs.
I like to call this the entrepreneur's dark prequel. It's that awful time when you know you have a brilliant idea, you have a working product, but you have absolutely zero traction. You're just burning through your cash, morale is dropping, and you're desperately trying to find an audience. This is where so many great startups die, not because the product was bad, but because they just couldn't get anyone to pay attention.
So how do you break out of that cycle? Well, here's our game plan for this explainer. First, we'll look at the startup's dilemma. Then, we're going to unpack a legendary story about viral marketing that really started it all. From there, we'll break down the growth hacker's playbook, get inside the mind of a growth hacker, and finally, take a look at what the future of growth looks like.
All right, first up, this startup's dilemma. Look, for a brand new company, traditional marketing is kind of a non-starter. You just don't have the cash for billboards or TV spots or huge online ad campaigns. For most founders, the problem isn't that ads don't work, it's that they are so unbelievably expensive that they're just not even an option.
So if you can't buy your way to growth, what do you do? Well, let's jump into time machine and go back to a time before growth hacking was even a term. Let's talk about the viral marketing legend of Hotmail. Because this is where the entire playbook was basically born.
Okay, the year is 1996. The founders, Jack Smith and Sabir Bhatia, have this revolutionary product, free email that you can access from any web browser. Sounds normal now, but it was huge then. The problem? They were launching into an empty room with only $300,000 in the bank. So billboards and radio ads? Totally out of the question. They were pretty much stuck.
And then their investor, a guy named Timothy Draper, comes up with this almost ridiculously simple idea. He suggested adding a little promotional line to the bottom of every single email sent from their service. Now, the founders thought the P.S. I love you part was a little cheesy, so they simplified it to just a clean, simple link, get your free email at Hotmail.
The effect was immediate, and honestly, nothing short of explosive. We're talking within hours, 3,000 new users were signing up every single day. In just 6 months, they hit 1 million users. Then, only 5 weeks after that, they hit 2 million. And here's the absolute genius of it. Every single email that a user sent became a free, perfectly targeted ad for Hotmail. They built the marketing right into the product itself.
By the time they sold the company to Microsoft, just 18 months after launching, they had 12 million users. Now, stop and think about that number for a second. At the time, the entire global internet population was only around 70 million people. They captured a massive piece of the whole market with one simple line of text. It's just insane. This moment was so huge, it actually needed a new name. Draper and his partner called it viral marketing. And this core idea that a product can spread itself, that its own users become its marketing engine, is the absolute foundation of modern growth hacking. So let's fast forward. How did this one brilliant, viral idea evolve into the modern growth hacker's playbook? Well, it basically created a brand new role in the tech world, a kind of hybrid person who's part marketer, part engineer, and part product manager, all rolled into one.
The official term, growth hacker, was coined way later in 2010 by Sean Ellis. And here's the key difference. Their focus is singular. A growth hacker isn't really worried about brand awareness or PR in the traditional sense. Their North Star, their only real goal, is measurable, scalable growth, period.
Think about it this way. A traditional marketer often thinks in terms of big campaigns and ad budgets. A growth hacker, on the other hand, thinks in terms of experiments. They live inside data analytics, they're constantly running A/B tests, and they're always trying to build viral loops. They use the product itself as their own personal laboratory, constantly tweaking and iterating to find what makes growth happen.
And what's their roadmap? It's often this 5-step framework, which is famously called the pirate funnel because, it spells out AARR. It's a really powerful way to break down and optimize the entire user journey, from acquisition, how people find you, to activation, retention, revenue, and finally, referral, which, you guessed it,
Brings us right back to that Hotmail tactic.
Okay, so now we know the playbook. But what kind of person actually executes it? To really get inside the hacker's mind, there is no better person to look at than Andy Johns.
This guy was on the ground, leading the growth teams at Facebook, Twitter, and Quora during their most critical make-or-break periods of insane expansion. I mean, his career is basically a masterclass in this mindset.
So what does that actually look like? Well, first, data is king. Gut feelings just don't cut it. Every single decision has to be backed by hard data. Second, a relentless focus on the goal. At Facebook, the goal was 200 million new users in 12 months, and literally everything was measured against that number. Third, they are incredibly creative. Think of Facebook's blog widgets, a super simple tool that let users show off their profile on their blogs, which then drove billions of impressions and millions of new signups. And finally, an obsessive attention to detail. Johns knew that a web page loading just a few hundred milliseconds slower could completely destroy growth.
So, after all this, is growth hacking just another one of those Silicon Valley buzzwords that's going to fade away? No way. Not a chance. This represents a really fundamental shift in how businesses are built from the ground up.
You could even say it's the democratization of marketing. Growth isn't a battle of who has the biggest checkbook anymore. The playing field has been leveled. Today, the advantage goes to whoever is the smartest, the most creative, and the most relentless about using data and technology to really understand and serve their users.
And that leaves us with a final thought to chew on. After all the talk about funnels and loops and hacks, maybe the most powerful growth strategy of all isn't some clever trick. Maybe it's just a simple truth. In a world with infinite choices, the ultimate growth hack might be to just build something so valuable, so essential, that people simply can't imagine their lives without it.